Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I need to give you a heads up about the lights. It's a little bit dark with it being kind of this season where the days are shorter. I'm doing it by a different kind of light than I normally would. I've tried to give it this kind of Christmassy feel, so you can see like the light colours are kind of rotating. I don't know if it's going to be annoying for you, and I do want to give a heads up because I know that, like, people can be very kind of like photosensitive, so just be aware of yourself and how you react to lighting and things like that. Just, a little bit of a warning. Maybe that's something. Maybe you're going to go out to a Christmas party, an office party or something like that. If you are photosensitive, maybe make people aware of that, and just be careful that you're not getting carried away and kind of into situations with bright flashing lights. Maybe people are going to like a concert or something like that as well. I'm not really picking that up in the cards. That's kind of an intuitive message that's just coming in, so we're just going to kind of flow with that. I am getting some quite insistent messages. Obviously I've not been on my channel for a little while now. I've been kind of running around doing December things, but there's definitely a message that wants to come through, and I wanted to kind of talk about this and clear it before I go into the New Year readings for January. So I don't know who it's for. It could be a collective message. It could be for a specific individual. I just opened up the channel and let my guides talk about whatever they want to talk about. So some of it's going to sound a bit crazy. They always do. But I'll kind of try and ground it down into something tangible. And yeah, a lot of stuff comes through as metaphor. So I'm going to try and kind of ground it in ways that this might come through. But again, if it's not making any sense, it's just not your reading this time. So watch out for the January readings. Okay. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Christmas. I hope you're not all too stressed out. The person that I'm reading for seems to feel almost stuck in a situation of their own making. It feels like somebody who's working in some kind of job or institution, and they've kind of built all these walls up, and they've almost built themselves in a bit like, when somebody paints themselves into a corner. It feels a bit like they've built themselves into a cage. Let me show you this deck. Now, this is a new deck that I've got. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm still getting to know it. It's, let me just find the packaging. Oracle of Mystical Moments. I am sorry. I know the lighting's not amazing today. I'll try and kind of point out the features as best as I can, though, for you. So this card, Keys on Trees, has come through, which is so curious to me. So you can see it's almost looking a bit like images on the Tower card, whether that's the Lenormand deck or the Tarot deck. So again, this is an Oracle deck, so it has its own meaning, but on the top of this tower is this elephant in a cage. If you can hear the chair shifting around in the background, my eldest is in the room playing what are you playing today? Wolf Quest?
That's the game, yes.
Yeah, playing Wolf Quest.
I'm playing Sims.
You're playing Sims?
Yeah.
Nice. Represent. Yeah, you see this elephant is like stuck on the top of this tower. So it's kind of giving me this feeling of maybe somebody, again, who's working in an institution, because the tower can be an institution in the Lenormand deck, a bit like Hierophant energy, if you're familiar with that. And maybe they're getting to the top of their career right now. Maybe they've got themselves into a higher position, but feeling a bit caged by that. Also feeling a little bit on show. There's this stuff coming through about observation. So here there's this observation card, the Peregrine Falcon. I'm sorry again, like maybe if I kind of like go like this, there you go. The Peregrine Falcon there is a card about observation. It was coming through somewhere else as well. Where did I also see observation? Here you go. Underneath the benefactor energy is the watchers. So definitely this feeling of like somebody keeping an eye on somebody. And also here, so on the bottom, so these are the three cards that stood out from the Oracle deck for me. So the Keys on Trees was the card that actually came out for this reading. You've also got Day and Night, interesting with the shifting light, almost like, one day rolling into the next, maybe a feeling of this, because you've got this kind of, I'll discuss this now because it's one of the main things that was coming through with the character that I was picking up on. It has this real Earth sign Mars placement energy. It was coming through very much as Virgo in Mars, or Mars in Virgo, but it could even be like Taurus or Capricorn. It's this real kind of one foot in front of the other, dependable, day to day, if, steady building, steady progress. Yeah, just kind of like this consistent, rolling, practical approach to something. So this could be whoever I'm reading for. I feel like this is a big part of their character. They are very strategic, they're very long term, they put a lot of heart into it. I want to say they've got this kind of because they're coming through this almost like Aquarian Virgo energy. I'm not saying they are an Aquarius or they are a Virgo, but I strongly feel Earth sign Mars placement. That is a key thing that I have to say I'm sure about this energy. Yeah, it has this real kind of dependable, long-term steady growth feel to it. Yeah, definitely Earth sign placements featuring heavily with this. So yeah, it feels like, again, like steady progress, like the elephant, right? They put one foot in front of the other. There's also a feeling of ancestry with the elephant. It comes with this feeling of, I walk in someone else's footsteps. I walk in my ancestors' footsteps. If I follow their footsteps, I can be sure of my path. I can be sure that when I put my foot down, that I'm putting it down on steady ground. All this symbology that comes through with the elephant. But there is this feeling of like getting to the top and being trapped by their own success, perhaps. Again, it has this feeling of being observed. They're up there for everybody to see. And so on the bottom is this observer card. So I kind of picked up the deck and the observer card kind of remained behind. So it has this feeling of like, somebody who perhaps is very well known. If this is kind of like the boss of a company or somebody with a lot of, let me just go like this again, somebody with a lot of, attention on them. It's kind of like maybe they walk into a room, they command the room, so there's a lot of eyes on them, or, they're so successful that people want to know how they did it. So yeah, this feeling of maybe even like paparazzi or being under scrutiny, being under a microscope in some sort of way. And again, this may just be a feeling. They feel a little bit trapped perhaps by their own success. Now the interesting thing is I did have a dream last night, and I was kind of opening myself up for messages for this reading because I knew I was going to do a reading today. I had a dream where I was actually put into a jail cell. So it's interesting that this almost looks, again, like a kind of jail cell with this elephant. But the wonderful message of this card is, now can you see the elephant has this long trunk, right? He has a natural tool that he can, maybe something about genetics as well. He has a genetic tool, which I don't know. And he can reach out and kind of search the surroundings and actually reach these keys that are hung up on the trees. And so I was really picking up this. Now it's funny that the King of Air came out. It was almost validating what I was feeling about this elephant. So it feels like a very, very strategic, tried and tested approach. It almost feels like being trapped in a jail cell and going around in a very methodical fashion and kind of like testing the bricks, testing the testing the bars one by one, and just almost doing like a sweep of the environment in a really almost like Minesweeper, that game Minesweeper, in a really methodical fashion to kind of determine to find a solution to the problem. So it doesn't have to be that anyone is literally jailed. It just has this feeling, almost like the Eight of Swords, where you feel trapped, right? You're mentally trapped. You're trapped in a cage of your own conception of your situation. But again, it's this kind of methodical, test each sword. Will one of those swords actually come out? So yeah, the message of this card is, you can be very creative, you can be very methodical, very creative, and you can use your natural talents to change a situation. So I really, really like that message. Now to talk about some of the other underlying cards. So from my own deck, we've got the Cave. Underneath that is the Star. Now I've been getting a lot of star energy, a lot of this Aquarius energy coming through. The Cave, the Throne, Android Programming Purpose, which I knew was going to come out because I need to talk about that a little bit too. And then some other cards. So the Shadow, the Ring, it came out like this. So the Offering, the Shadow, the Ring, the Underworld, and the Storm and Apocalypse is underneath that as well. So it does feel a bit like, not like the apocalypse is coming, and the death card is not here. There's no death energy in this reading. So that's not what I'm picking up on. It's something more like, again, like a tower moment, like a surprise, a problem, something that's a little bit chaotic that seems to be rolling in. It's almost like the storm is coming. And of course we can weather a storm, right? We can batten down the hatches. I want to say as well, I'm not scaring anyone here. The actual message of this reading for whoever it's for is very, very, very reassuring. Like, you are 100% protected by something higher than us. It's almost this feeling of you are here for a purpose. You are in the right place at the right time. The universe wants you in this position because you're going to be the person that sustains through the storm. Again, there's this real sustainer energy, which is funny that there is a sustainer card, but interesting, like the mountain almost in reverse, or like the cave in the mountain. Okay, I'm getting too deep into it. Let me backtrack a bit. So I've been pulling cards off camera for the last couple of weeks. Consistently, 3 cards have been coming through. The cave, I did a reading where from this deck and this deck, the cave card came out in both piles. The storm card came out in both piles, and the ring card, no, I don't have a storm card, sorry. The cave card came out in both piles. There's, no, I'm getting myself confused. The cave card came out in both piles. The storm came out consistently from this pile, and the ring card came out from both piles. So both piles had the cave and the ring, and this pile keeps saying the storm. So consistently, and also apocalypse and underworld, and there is another card. What's the other one? Thanatos, sorry, keeps on coming out from this deck as well, but Thanatos is not here today. So what am I trying to say with this? The ring talks about something being perpetual. I can't say that word. You know, something that is unbroken. And like I say, it did come out of both decks. The storm card, it feels like something. How do I explain this? There's the way, sorry, stuff comes through and it can be quite symbolic and things like that. So I have to figure out a way to kind of explain what I'm feeling about this person. So again, this person, there's 3 energies coming through in this reading. The person that I'm reading for here, who feels almost like they're almost on the brink of Emperor energy. Because we have the King of Cups, the King of Swords, and the King of Pentacles. It's like they've mastered these 3 areas. The King of Fire is the one that's missing. So it feels like that's there's something about the creativity being under threat. I'm explaining this so badly. Okay, so this person who the reading's for is the person in the middle, is the way it's coming through. Almost Emperor energy. This is the person who feels like they're trapped in this cage at this moment, trapped by their own success. But the energy that's coming in to help could be an ancestor who's on the other side, because like I say, the star is under there, the panther as well. And then the reading ends, as you'll see, with all this spiritual help, this higher person, this bigger person who's coming in to safeguard this person. And then the third person who's coming through is almost like a child energy. So it feels like this person here, this Emperor person, is almost trying to protect this child, but Spirit is also protecting both of them. You have this protection card here. I'm seeing this as the child energy. Now, it doesn't have to be a child. It could be generations, like grandfather, father, child. So the grandfather is protecting both the son and the grandchild. But it could also be that the child is somebody who is almost like a child of the universe, a child of the cosmos, a child of the situation itself, like the tower itself, like someone who is protected by the institution in some sort of way. So the higher energy is coming through with a lot of kind of winged energy. So you can talk about angels being winged. It comes through sometimes symbolically as dragon energy for me, or serpent energy. When this energy comes through with this kind of like serpent energy, it does talk about protection. Interesting, you've got the star and panther there as well. It feels like whoever this is, they're protected by both the light and dark. Let me show you this shadow card. This is, it's like they are protected by both realms, right? They're protected in this realm and they're protected in the other realm, right? In the underworld realm. Or they're protected by almost like in Romeo and Juliet's kind of situation, where they're protected by both. Almost like they're protected by warring sides, like they're protected by heaven and hell almost, but I'm not saying hell because I think that's a problematic way of looking at it. It's like they're protected by the angels and they're protected by the dragons, is what I'm going to say. Like both parties have an interest in protecting this individual. So it's coming through like, it's coming through in my dream. It was like somebody was trying to mess with this person, right? So somebody is a, it's like this person is under attack in some sort of way. You know, there are people who I want to say perhaps are projecting because they're not as successful, so they want to kind of knock this person down, or they want to see them trapped, or they want to see them it's like they're sending bad energy towards them. So this is a bit creepy. I'm going to kind of explain what I saw in my dream. And it's, if you're eating, it's not a good time to eat. And I'm going to have some discussions about food and things like this as well in this next section. So I'm going to put these two cards here. And if you want to opt out of this conversation, just kind of scroll forward until you see me move these two cards, and I won't move them until I'm done. So you can see on this card there's maggots. Now in my dream, I had rice all over my stomach, like pieces of rice on my stomach. And when they got a little bit damp and a little bit wet, they actually turned into maggots and started crawling around in on my stomach. And I felt like they were trying to get in my stomach. I told you it was gross. I'm associating it with this dream that I had about I think I talked about in the last reading. There is one reading that I didn't put up that I might have to put up. But the serpent energy in a last set of dreams was this. It's like the dragon came down to put eggs in my stomach, and I was protecting these eggs. It's like, and it wasn't bad, right? It's like the serpent, the dragon energy is not bad. It's like having to protect, like being gifted a child basically, and having to protect that, but that child coming under attack. And so it's like the maggots were trying to attack the child of the dragon, was the way it was coming through. I know it sounds a little bit crazy, guys. Listen, it's all just dream and metaphor. So again, whoever this reading is for, it should make sense to. And if it's not making a lot of sense, like I know, right? Like I get it. I don't have all the answers. I'm just the messenger. So yeah, it was a bit like Gremlins, right? Like, don't feed them after midnight, like don't get the rice wet. Now I kind of googled this afterwards because I thought, is this a warning about the food that somebody's eating? Obviously rice is rice and maggots are maggots. But a lot of insects can kind of get into rice. And so it is really important to kind of like wash it thoroughly and cook it thoroughly, like cook it till it's hot to kind of like destroy those. And obviously you don't want to eat rice that's kind of infested with anything. So just be careful if you're eating food, especially rice. Also be very, very careful, because there was this thing about, like I say, the rice was fine until it got damp, and that's when it became problematic. So just be careful about storage of, grains, rice, flour, wheat, pasta. Just make sure that you're storing it properly in a really dry place. And if it's damp at all, or it's in a damp area, just bin it, just don't eat it. Also just be aware of especially if you've got young children or pets and they get outside in the mud a lot. Obviously worms are a thing. It's not anything to be embarrassed about. It happens, right? Especially I used to work in a school with young kids. Like the little boys they'd be very dirty. They'd be in the mud. They'd go to the bathroom. They wouldn't wash their hands. They'd touch everything. Ew. You can teach them hygiene, but kids, right? Yeah, some are cleaner than others. My boy was disgusted by it all. But, like, it's normal for kids to catch things off each other. It's normal for kids to catch things off pets. If they're out in the park and they're stroking someone else's pet, you don't know if that pet's been wormed. So any signs of anything to do with, Google it. If you're not sure, look at the signs, and just take that seriously. worm tablets are really, really cheap. You can go and buy them from a pharmacy here in the UK. And, you know, it's an easy problem to sort out, basically. But again, it's coming through possibly with a warning for that, especially in regards to children or in regards to people who are pregnant. Okay, moving swiftly on from that because it's kind of a gross thing. So those of you who didn't want to hear that, I'm done talking about that now. Everybody else who's sat there eating is completely grossed out by that message, but I have to deliver the messages that come through because they could be really important to somebody, especially, you know, sometimes it could even save a life, right? So I don't want to skip any messages. And I fully believe in my cards as well. Like they're very accurate for me personally when I do my own readings. I may not understand what they mean, but then it plays out and I'm like, that is spot on. I see it now. Yeah. Where else do I want to go with this? The offering talks about offering yourself in service, and how valuable that can be, especially if you're doing it for the right reasons. So whatever this group is, whatever this tower is, whatever this institution, this thing that's being built by, it doesn't feel like maybe this person's like the top. It feels like they're in a, almost like they're in a power position, like they're doing very well in this place, but maybe they're not quite in the seat of power yet, something like that. But I don't know, because it's coming through two energies. I'm basically being given very, very specific examples. I'm being shown a specific human that I know the name of, but I don't know them personally, who is very, very high up in a company, very well known. But I'm also sort of being shown people who, it's like the way it's coming through is like the same energy, right? It's like maybe they have the same goals, they have the same vision, they have the same work ethic. It's almost like two people who are cut of the same mold, right? They're very, very similar, especially to do with work and kind of, it's not so much money. It's not like this person's driving motivation is money. It's coming through as they really believe in what they're doing. They really believe in the structure that's being created. They really believe in you know, the workplace being like, there's this hive card here, right, with the Eight of Pentacles. Now the Eight of Pentacles talks about improving something, working on something, to make it the best it can be. And it feels like that's a little bit more like the motivating force here, because you also have the Eight of Pentacles here in the reading as well. So it's this perfection of a craft, right? It feels like, again, it really feels like Virgo in Mars placement, because Virgo's a team player, right? They care about their co-workers. They again, everybody's birth chart's different, but generally Virgo energy, especially Virgo in Mars energy, is kind of like they want to build the ship and they want everybody to feel like they're a part of it, and they want, you know, that ship to kind of look after everybody. It's like every bee is important here, and when we work together we achieve something great. So there's this real belief in the work that is being done. And I want to say it's coming in because there's this benefactor energy. There's a real kind of it's coming through like somebody who's like, they keep showing me a ship, right? It's like this person who's in charge of a ship, but they really care about the workers. They really care about you know, the well-being and grace and generosity as well. It's almost like the bees the work of the bees built this tower really high. Now I'm in charge of the tower. Now I'm almost like the king bee because it's coming through as masculine. I want to make sure that my bees are looked after, right? My hive is healthy, because again, with this thing with what I was talking about here, which I'm gonna not talk about again, but a similar message coming through, like if they're, you know, like a beehive, right? Mites can get in the beehive, right? And it's very harmful to the health of the hive. So you have to go and smoke out the mites to keep the hive healthy. So it's a similar thing. I almost feel like there's, you know, the tower itself is almost under attack by something that's like an infestation. like there's something, maybe it's just, maybe this is, are you off?
Yeah, I'm going. I'm going to
Okay.
have a bath.
All right. Love you all.
Love y'all.
It's something like,
Goodbye, reading.
goodbye,
Blessings
viewers.
from a Sagittarius.
Thank you. There you go. You've been blessed by Sagittarius energy. That's what's needed in here. The fire is what's needed, actually. Maybe that's the thing. Like the fire is what's needed. Maybe it's like this, again, this kind of like smoking it out. Like maybe anger is also needed, like healthy anger, you know, the anger that kind of makes you do something about a problem. In a constructive way. Yeah, but it's, I'm so sorry. I know the lighting, it's awful in this reading. So yeah, it's like, it could be illness, right? It could, because it's that time of the year when, it's that time of the year when, you know, there's a lot of bugs going around. A lot of people are getting sick, you know, bugs, right? Mites, maggots. So, you know, maybe a lot of people, if you are in like an office space, like a big office space, or, you know, a big institution of some kind, it's like one person comes in, 3 people get sick. So it's like you don't want to kind of like be doing the whole crunch thing where, you know, people feel like they have to come in, they can't take a day off, because maybe it's like, you know, maybe this is talking about sick pay. You want to make sure the health of the workers is prioritized, because, you know, you want to have the healthy hive, the healthy productive hive, not the sluggish, you know, sick hive. You know, that's not going to build success. So it is talking about, again, this willingness to give back, the willingness to share the wealth of the success, the willingness to make sure everybody feels included and well looked after. It seems to be very, very important. Something here about this tower as well. Again, with this Watcher's energy, it's like, maybe I'm getting this feeling of, how do I explain this? Like a, like a review, like a workplace audit or a workplace review where, you know, maybe like the practices of the place are being questioned. Is there a way that we could do things better? You know, how is that company handling things? Let's look at the structure, let's look at the infrastructure and see where improvements can be made. But also maybe like, you know, review time, like there's people are being watched, like people are coming up for review. You know, like some workplaces do like peer reviews as well. So I don't know, like it could be something like that. But again, this feeling of like the tower. But then the lights coming from the top of the tower seems to be talking about this higher energy down here. Also, interestingly, underneath that is like, oh, gorgeous energy. Look at this. I've not looked at all the underlying cards yet. Garden of Venus, Rest and Renewal, and then Me Talks and Beloved Radical Acceptors. It's got all this kind of like, you know, vacation time, perhaps. Maybe everybody's off for Christmas and everybody's like relaxing, kind of like Four of Swords energy, like everybody's, you know, maybe like this is somebody who's gifting everybody with like spa vouchers, you know, the boss is gifting everybody spa vouchers, something like that. Or like, you know, like a company discount scheme where people can go and like have a spa day like for half price or something like that, you know, like these schemes that they have. But like the importance of repairing the body, mind and spirit and rest and renewal, right? And, you know, somebody, a boss that values this, again, it's got benefactor energy. It feels like a really good person, actually. I like the energy that I'm picking up on. So let me just keep going. Android programming and purpose. Now, this was talking to me about a character in my dream where, you know, sometimes people can react because it's almost like, you know, especially people who spend a lot of time in kind of like drama groups on social media. You know, they're very, very quick to judge and quick to react, and they don't really want to hear the full information. They just want to feel, you know, people who project. It was really coming through the idea of like someone who projects a lot. Sorry, you've also got like the throne and the church and things like that there. I'm not going to talk about every single card. I'm just going to talk about the main ones that are, because I think I don't want to be here too long, and I don't want to get the reading too just disjointed. I want to get the main messages through, but, you know, if anything pops out to you, take it. So Android programming and purpose, it was talking to me about somebody who, you know, it's almost like you know, like they're an NPC in a game, like they're coded to react a certain way and not think for themselves. So in this dream that I had, I was trying to deal with the problem that I've already mentioned, which actually it actually wasn't a problem. I wasn't actually in any danger. It was just uncomfortable. So this could even be talking about sort of like social media. You know, sometimes you can kind of, especially if you're well known, you can come under scrutiny on social media where it's like people have something to say, people have, you know, they're judging, they're criticizing, you know, they want to air their opinions. But it was coming through like this is a projection. It's not something that can actually harm you. It's uncomfortable perhaps, but you know, just kind of brush it off, and not brush it off like on social media. Don't be like dismissive of people's concerns because I don't think that's a good thing to do. But you know, just kind of like get on with your day and kind of pay it no mind. But there was this one specific individual who was actually physically trying to attack me. Like they kept on coming at me, and there was kind of a door between us, and I had to keep on like as they were kind of like running at me to attack me, all I had to do was shut the door, and they would run into the door and fall over and hurt themselves. And you know, they did this 3 times before I, you know, like the last time I was ready and I just left, right? I just went as they were kind of picking themselves back up again. So it's almost like I want to say it could be something about karma, because whoever this is, they seem to be generating a huge amount of good karma for themselves. So in a vision, I saw Saturn rolling through. Saturn is the planet that rules Capricorn. It's all about karma, right? You get what you sow. And this person seems to be sowing benefactor energy, which I want to say is being seen, right? It's being seen by the higher energies, right? It's I'm getting this almost like, I feel like it came through in that other dragon reading that I did. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. But I think there's negative connotations about that saying. But I think what they're trying to get me to is kind of like, what's good for, like, it's funny because I was going to say the emperor and then I almost said CEO, right? What's good for the boss is good for the collective, right? What's good for the king, because you have throne, what's good for the king is good for the commonwealth. Not to say I'm talking about King Charles or anything specifically like that, but you get the kind of message I'm trying to say, right? What's good for the emperor is good for Rome, because I think if this was a bad emperor, if this was a bad you know, person at the top, and they were, you know, not in benefactor energy, but they were self-seeking and self-serving, and they were kind of like robbing the poor to feed the rich, you know, the universe would be having none of that, especially going into Aquarius season. They'd be like, not on my watch, dude. That would be very bad karma. But whoever this specific, and I feel like it is an individual, is because they're in benefactor energy, right? It's because they've got, it's almost this old-fashioned, it's funny because you've got church as well, right? So, and I was thinking about this the other day to myself, like, where have all the philanthropists gone, right? Where have all the do-gooders gone, the rich do-gooders? Because it just feels like we're in a very, very corporate society, which is, you know, people are talking about late stage capitalism, and you can see these, you know, leechers who just, you know, who do just line their own pockets and they have no interest in helping society. But, you know, you do get the good people, right? You do get the people who see the bigger picture, you know, who see, you know, the importance of keeping the workforce happy and comfortable and protected. And so this person feels like somebody who perhaps has those you know, very, because they are coming through with this thing about traditional ancestry, you know, this kind of traditional lineage of you know, I'll be judged. Maybe they do feel like, you know, I'll be judged, you know, in front of God for my actions. So, you know, anything done in the dark will be seen. You know, it's like I might get away with it here on earth, but in the afterlife, when I'm in, if I want to go to heaven, you know, I have to keep my slate clean. So, you know, I do want to do good. I do want to be a good boss. I want to protect people. I want to give back. You know, life has been good to me, and I want to make things better for everybody else, because it's like that old thing about, you know, let them eat cake, you know, French Revolution, when the people at the top get so out of touch and greedy that they don't see or care about the fact that, you know, the general population is suffering. You know, it does fester. There's all these, I love, like, my degree's humanities, and I did a lot of I really like writing, right? So I studied like Shakespeare and Roman political texts and things like this. And this, so there's this concept of like the poison fountain. If you poison the fountain, the head of the fountain, which is the person in control, if that person's toxic, the country becomes toxic. You want to have whatever the source is, you want to have that be pure and healthy. It's all this stuff's kind of coming through. Yeah, this feels like somebody who wants to be a good example, who wants to lead by example, who wants to there's the thing about loyalty as well, right? If you are the kind of boss who's cruel to your workers, if you're a slave driver, right? If you're cracking the whip and saying, I don't care, Scrooge, I don't care if it's Christmas, we've got a deadline to meet, get back in the office, you are working until this is done. If you've got somebody who is inhumane in their work practices, it doesn't provoke loyalty. There's a difference between tyranny and forced servitude and the kind of loyalty that comes from knowing that you're in a good workplace, and knowing that your boss is sympathetic, and that they care about you, and they will protect you and your rights. There's somebody who stands up for the workers' rights. If you're in a place where you feel like you're part of the hive and that's your home, you have loyalty to it, right? You feel a sense of, I want to be here, I want this project to be successful. Where if like your boss doesn't care about you, you're like, well, I don't care about this workplace, and do you know what, the first chance I get to stab you in the back and leave, I'm going to take it. So yeah, like, I don't know, but I don't know, going back to that android purpose person, it's funny because even though I got out of it, I ended up back in a jail cell with this person who it's like they had no thoughts. All they were doing was wanting to attack me. And so, what do you do in a situation like that? I feel like, I don't know. I don't know what to say of that. I just feel like, don't ignore a problem. If there's a problem that's affecting the hive, it could be talking about collective consciousness, right? And things that are having a negative impact on our collective consciousness, like on society itself. If we're fed, talking about kind of news groups and media that is not socially responsible, but they're just there to kind of like make a headline and get the clicks and get the views, and kind of like promoting drama and promoting toxicity. I can think of several people who are reporters or TV presenters and things like this, who they spout such foul language and such horrible disrespectful and aggressive opinions, rather than just letting live and let live, and bygones be bygones, and hey, let's constructively analyze this and kind of make everybody better. Having a very, very toxic narrative in media does poison society. And psychologically speaking, if people are drip fed something for long enough, if you keep reading a certain headline, even if you're not engaging with it, if you read that headline enough times every single day, it will start to feel like a natural opinion for you. It will feel like that is an acceptable opinion because you've seen it so many times. And people are so busy and they don't stop to question, is this my opinion? Is this a true opinion? If I analyze it, if I ask questions, if I question this, does it ring true, or is this just something that I am, an opinion that I've adopted through programming that I'm not aware of, right? I don't know. I want to move on from that. I want to talk about this guy because and I'm saying guy, it's coming through as masculine energy, it is coming through as a he. um they seem really good, like they're leading with the king of water, right? This is somebody with they may have a lot of water, air and earth in their chart, and not a lot of fire in the chart. So maybe look at somebody's full birth chart there. But this person, they have deep feelings, right? They are um very socially aware. This is somebody who listens, you know, this is somebody who cares. This is somebody with strong emotions, but they are self-aware. You know, they rule their emotions, and they're not ruled by them. So there's this real sense of, again, it's coming through this like benefactor energies, this kind of patient, understanding, empathetic, caring soul. It could be this person has quite an old soul as well. Like, can you see this image? It's such a gorgeous image. Scorpio specifically, the king of water, but it doesn't have to be. Just this, yeah, it's this person who's got a really big heart, I want to say, but because they found themselves in this position, if this is the way that I'm reading the cards, because they found themselves in this position where, you know, they've got themselves trapped somehow, and you know, they're trying to get themselves out of a situation, they're needing to be very, very strategic and very, very logical. So this is the emperor choosing which mode to operate in, because the emperor can be any four of the kings. He's all four kings of the tarot, so depending on the situation, he's going to switch and change into different modes of operation, right? He's mastered the ability to do this. So this person, whoever this is, they're in king of air mode. So this is an analytical energy, it's a logical energy, it's strategic. So where the king of water operates through emotions, right, the king of air is logical and strategic, right? So this is not a situation you're going to get out of with your heart. It's something that you're going to get out of with your brain, which is why I was talking about this idea of kind of like going brick to brick and going bar to bar and being very strategic with like, okay, that is not an option, let's have a look at another option. There is something creative about it. Now, even though it's not a fire energy, it's this, the creativity that comes with analyzing what is, right? Creative strategy, perhaps. And so it seems like the perfect, it seems like the right mindset to be in to get themselves out of this situation. Now, it's really just, the cards at this point are really telling me who this person is, right? Really reinforcing what I was thinking as I was thinking it. So the next card that came through was the Earth Keeper. Again, it's like this person is responsible for something earthy. And then this was followed by the Ten of Pentacles, the Ten of Earth. So it does feel like, again, it's like this is the boss of a workplace, or, you know, it could even just be somebody who is like head of the finances, like head of finance department or something like that, again, because King of Pentacles is coming next. I do think that money is involved. Excuse me, money could be involved quite heavily with this person. You know, it's like they are the finance guy, they are the they look at the resources. I'm just trying to get the lighting better, guys. They look at resources, they look at where the money's going. So this person's like payroll, budgets, investments, but also the kind of bricks and mortar is the way it's coming through. I keep getting this thing about bricks. It's like it's like they source the building blocks. They make sure that they're using the right type of contract. Maybe this is like a building contractor company or something like that. But it's like there's this thing about building up the walls, building the stocks, building the shares, you know, like building the assets. It feels like this comes very naturally to them. It feels like this is their job. This is what they do. Again, this person, I really, really feel strongly that they have a Mars Earth sign placement, because it's like this is what motivates them. This is it's almost like the default setting of who they are and what they do, and how, like, why their purpose, like, because I feel like Mars is like purpose, like their purpose here in this life is to be this builder. It is to be the person who's the head of the earthly matters. I feel like the King of Pentacles almost comes first with this person. It's like this is the area that they mastered first, right? Like as they were becoming each king, the King of Pentacles came easily to them. And I want to say the King of Air and the King of Water followed, right? They mastered these after becoming the King of Pentacles. But this feels like their comfort zone almost. Like this is just who they are and this is what they do. You know, like the sort of person who's like, they define themselves by what they have to show for it, right? They define themselves by their work. You know, you could have some, like being a teacher isn't a personality trait, right? Because you could go and you can meet a lot of teachers who have a lot of different opinions, a lot of different personalities, a lot of different approaches to teaching. Teaching doesn't make somebody who they are. It's just a person with a personality having an experience, and that experience can adapt their personality and help them to grow and help to navigate the world in different ways. But being a teacher is not a personality trait in itself, right? So it's like this person's personality came before they did their work, right? This person already had, it's like they were already an earth keeper before, they were already practical, you know, a builder by nature. They were already you know, good at work, you know, good with finances. It's like, yes, they had to learn it, you know, as we learn anything in life, but this feels more like who they are. And then the work they do is an extension of who they are. Then we have the Child, right? So I'm seeing this as a more feminine energy, but it doesn't have to be. There is another reading that I hope I've still got available somewhere. I don't think it's on my phone anymore. I'm hoping it's on my computer. And at the time, I think I chose not to put it up because it did talk about religion. And I remember it had like the Star of David and this feeling of like turning away from Christianity, which was coming through as however this person was experiencing it. Again, like I'm not, I believe that everything is one big thing. So when you break things down into things like different religions, it's just different ways of experiencing the original thing. You know, different ways of a human trying to comprehend something that's incomprehensible. So I'm not saying anything's right or wrong. And I think there's a different, you know, again, I studied humanities. So for me, there's a lot of space and a lot of room for a lot of different ways of experiencing life and experiencing religion and experiencing non-religion as well. Like however we choose to do that is our personal choice. But it felt like whoever I was reading for was seeing some kind of corruption in whatever they had originally been involved with, and they were turning away and going in a different direction. And it came through like they were turning away from Christianity and going towards a more Jewish faith. But obviously that is a very, very hot topic right now. And at the time, I wasn't comfortable putting that reading on the internet because I don't... I have very, very complex views on complex situations, right? I'm the sort of person who I can see a lot of gray areas, and I have a lot of Libra in my chart. I don't like to pick a side, and so I naturally see situations as being very complex. But I think due to what I was talking about here, you know, people who are engaging with perhaps one narrative, or who perhaps have their own opinions without really wanting to kind of question those opinions or dive any deeper, or, you know, listen to complex, you know, people can sometimes be a little bit, I want to understand this simply, right? Like tell me in a 1 minute TikTok video. And a lot of the time situations, you know, that would require a full-on degree in history, like 3 years of studying the complexities to really understand the situation fully. And I think that, you know, one of the first things you learn when you go into higher education, and what people discover the more they engage with education, is that they don't really know anything at all, right? The more you learn, the more you learn, the more you realize there's a huge amount that you don't know. And it's kind of like the most ignorant people who don't bother to educate themselves, who think they know everything. And I think it's those people who are the first to throw stones, right? And it's those people who are the first to take something that you're saying that is complex and twist it into a more simplified narrative, because they want to have the right opinion, and they want to be able to knock someone down because it makes them feel more solid in their own opinion. So I think I will put that reading up now, because I feel like this feels in line with it. Funny thing as well is I did that reading, and then after I did that reading, I saw someone post something on social media that was very, very similar to what was coming through in that reading. And I thought, that's interesting. It was like confirmation of what I'd read. And so when I saw that, I also sort of felt like, well, maybe I don't need to put this reading up, because it seems like it's playing out anyway. So maybe I don't need to. If so, the way I felt at the time was, if somebody is exploring their own relationship with perhaps religion or spirituality, and they're finding that something that they'd believed in and maybe led the whole life kind of without questioning that structure that they'd kind of grown up in, if they had come to a point where they were questioning it and wanting to try a different method of spirituality, then I didn't want to influence that opinion at all. I felt like it was something that had to come from within that person. It had to be their own decision, and I didn't want to muddy the waters for them, and I didn't want to reinforce or cause them to question anything. I felt like it had to be entirely their own decision. So I didn't post that reading at the time, but I feel now, like enough time has passed, it was a couple of weeks ago, that that will have played out to a point where I'm able to kind of put my reading up and they can engage with it, and it won't, it's like the moment past kind of thing. It's like whatever happened will have already happened. So I will put that up as a reflective reading if I still have it. I don't know why that's coming through now. Perhaps I know why, because that reading had this child involved. It felt like this person was at a pivotal moment where, as I say, I will put it up, you can go and check it out, but it may be the same message, it may be a different message. That reading specifically had the feeling of somebody who had a child and they were on the point of making a decision on behalf of this child. And it felt like they were about to go into some kind of organization or structure that was traditional and aligned with whatever they'd been brought up in. So perhaps it could have been an example of, the grandfather went to a Catholic school, the father went to a Catholic school, but, saw the flaws in the system and perhaps had a bad experience. So when it came to having, it felt like it was time to have that child join a school. And it's like one of the options was to have the child join this school, and again, take all the different religions out. I'm not criticizing or condoning or telling anyone to join any, again, it has to be a personal choice. And I think there's good and bad about any kind of structure that humans partake in, because humans are full of good and bad, and sometimes humans can corrupt a system that could have started off as very, very good. So again, a lot of gray areas, right? Like this is what I'm talking about, guys. Somebody who can see the good and the bad in different situations, because I think the idea of perfection and something being entirely 100% good is a lie. So I think a lot of the time we have to weigh things up in our own mind and say, is there enough good here that it outweighs the bad, and is the bad so bad that it will corrupt the entire experience, or is it a bad that is a burden that you can shoulder? So again, I think that's about, it's not like one religion is the same experience wherever you go in the world. I think you can kind of like take each religion and kind of go to different areas and different groups within that, and you can find good ones and bad ones. So again, I'm not here to kind of tell anyone what to believe in, right? Again, it's an entirely personal choice based on your own personal experiences. But yeah, it's like the parent had this decision to make of, am I going to sign this child up to this institution, right, to this belief system? So it's even coming through like you know, a confirmation, things like that is like, do I want them to do that? Or even like a christening, do I want to have my child christened? So yeah, it felt like making a decision on behalf of the child at a point where someone was seeing a huge amount of perhaps corruption in that system. And that's not to say that system's always been corrupt. You know, people come and go. So, you know, you could have a brilliant system that, you know, your dad had a brilliant experience with, where he had absolutely lovely teachers, lovely, you know, community that you grew up in. But, you know, one bad person gets into power, that whole system can kind of fall down. So again, like, if you see this thing about like the balls, like the orbs on either side of this one, this feels like, to me, see, I wonder if like the child is trapped, or if there's a potential for this child to become trapped by the same institution that trapped the father, right? It's like building the walls around this person. The walls of protection, but the walls of protection are also perhaps a little bit stifling. Anyway, the following card, like I say, let me show you this card. So I'm seeing this as whoever the feminine is, right? I'm seeing it as this one. It's like spiritual protection. They are being protected by ancestors, by spirits, through the father. I hope the lighting's okay. So then Starry Night and Acceptance. I don't know what this card is about exactly. I want to say because of the blues and because it looks very spiritual, right? It looks like somebody who is in commune with nature and in commune with the stars and in commune with not a person but a spiritual presence. I'm kind of tying it with like the upper world card here, which does talk about kind of like the heavens, and then this one that is coming because it's next to deep quiet meditation and stillness. And can you see this figure on this card? It's like, and then this is also followed by stillness. So this is one of those crazy things where I think, no way did those two cards from all the decks I'm using, and again I use about maybe 11 12 decks when I do these kind of spreads. I shuffle each deck 3 times. Whichever cards come out, I kind of put back together and respread. And so when I get 2 cards with almost the exact same message next to each other, it kind of still blows my mind, even though it happens all the time. So deep quiet meditation and stillness, and reflecting pulse stillness, and then this, it feels like very similar to what I do, where when I go into a meditation, when I go into kind of like, you know, that kind of deep meditative state, and I connect to things that are not part of this 3D. It's like things that are, you know, I'm connecting with my ancestors, I'm connecting with my angels, my guides, my these higher energies, which yes, sometimes do come through as dragons, right? But also sometimes come through as angels. Like I work with an energy that I call Archangel Michael, whether it's the Archangel Michael, that is the name that I have given to it. Starman, like this looks very much like Starman to me, my dragon. So I give, I anthropomorphize, is that the right word? I personify energy, right? I give a certain symbols and certain imagery that I connect with my guides so that I can identify them as they come in. So yeah, this looks to me like deep meditation, like perhaps this person. So whoever's feeling very, very trapped, you know, whoever feels perhaps trapped by what they've built around them, right? So this could be building a life, right? You know, putting a lot of investment into your career, you know, buying a home, establishing yourself in a certain place or community, right? And really, you know, buying furniture, buying possessions, and having this very safe, earthly comfort around them. Sort of looking at this card here, right? It's like there is bread on my table. Like if the storm comes in, I'm in a brick house, like my house is not going to blow away in a storm, right? It's like there's something protective and sustaining about the Pentacles, the Ten of Earth situation that has been created over time, right? So, but then feeling trapped by this. So it could even be the sort of situation where, you know, I'm 40, right? So, you know, you do what you have to do throughout your life, and I'm not talking about myself personally, but I think it's a familiar feeling when you get to a certain point in your life and you think, did I make the right choices? Is this where I'm supposed to be? You know, it's too late to change now. These kinds of things, like, you know, I didn't work my way up in any career, guys. I'm hopeless. But it's like this, like, I don't have earth energy in my chart. I think I've got a Virgo rising, but most of my chart is air and fire. So like I am no water, very little earth. I go where the fucking wind blows, right? I am not sustainer energy. I am creative ideas energy. Right? So it's kind of like yeah, the sort of person who's very, very, you know, maybe they work hard, you know, they've been paying off their mortgage, they've been paying the kids' tuition fees, you know, they're married, um, you know, they've worked their way up at that career ladder, they've got a really good job, it pays really well. They've established these really deep roots, they've built something up, proud of it, it's safe, right? They're protecting their children's future. You know, maybe they've got enough money to kind of like, you know, my kids' education's covered. You know, I've got enough money to pay a deposit on my kid's house. It just feels like, you know, that kind of dependability and stability that is, you know, that kind of father energy that is missing a lot of the time in the world, like a lot of people crave. And this person's done it really successfully, and yet they feel stuck. So it's interesting, that idea of like the woman who was attacking me, and I was stuck in the cage with this woman who was attacking me. It could even be that this person they feel like they've built up a life where I don't know if that's necessarily in the cards, so I'm going to move on from that. I feel like if that's the message for the person, they'll kind of know what that is. So in that self-made prison, right, that painting yourself into that corner in a very beautiful room, I want to say, it's like you've used high quality paint to paint yourself into that corner, but now you get to sit and meditate and find peace and quiet and speak to your ancestors and speak to your guides and look for a solution to whatever problem you've created for yourself. And your guides are very, very, very willing to help, right? There's a like reflection happening here. This time master energy feels like, I don't know if it's the masculine here, like another aspect of them, their ability to look at the time that they've spent. Maybe it's this desire to kind of rewind the clock, or to, there's this, with it being next to reflecting pool, it's like this assessment of how they spent the time, this assessment of how they've managed their resources, how they've it feels maybe perhaps like where this person has stabbed themselves in the back almost. It's like where this person did, it's got this thing about something coming back around, right? The idea of like painting yourself into a corner or trapping yourself in your own success, or you know, it's like this slow, it's very, very slow, right? That rhinoceros's horn grows very, very slowly. It's almost like whatever happened here over a very long time ultimately came round and kind of like stabbed this person in their own back, right? It's like it's almost like I should have seen this coming. I should have predicted, I should have seen the curve, right? I should have seen where this was leading. But then there's this intervention by this one, moderation. Whoever this higher up is, whoever this guide is, I do want to say they're definitely here to help, because they've observed how someone has acted in grace and generosity, and they wish to reward that, right? They wish to intervene. They wish to, it almost looks to me, I'm going to try and light this up a little bit better. It almost looks to me like, can you see the fire? It's like the fire is burning the tip of the horn away before it can jab this person in their own back. It's like almost like a barrier or a file that's filing it away before it hits, right? So again, with this Eight of Pentacles energy, which we saw here, again, this is talking about, again, perfecting the craft. This person definitely has perfectionist energy. Again, heavy Virgo Mars placement, I want to say. I want to make this perfect. You know, I want to work on this until I've mastered it. And then, but has it been mastered? Because you have the Ten of Pentacles here. Perhaps it's already been mastered. Whatever this is, right? It's like continuing to master your craft when you've already earned your PhD, which is honorable, right? It's like there's always more to learn. But then we have observation and the sun. Can you see how these both are like this? You know, the face is looking down, right? And then there's this the wings, like both of these characters, the falcon and the character on the sun, are looking to me like the same energy, right? The same, it's this guide, right? It's this higher guide or this higher up who is observing the main character, right? Watching them. Again, this idea of what I was talking about in the beginning of, you know, this person understands that when there's more, right? There's the next life, you know, there's what's done in the shadows on earth will be seen in the light in the afterlife, that kind of thing. It's like it just has this observation scrutiny, because the sun card to me talks about everything being in the light, right? Everything being seen, like the light shining on the shadows, like nothing can be hidden when the sun card comes out. So this one who's observing, and I want to say protecting, because here we have it again, the winged. It's like the protecting. And I want to say one of these two characters is aware of this energy, like they feel it. Similar to me when I go into meditation, I know this energy is there. What else do we have? Because there's a couple of things I've still got left to say. The queens are in the underlying of this reading. Now, I don't know if the Emperor, I'm calling him the Emperor, we've not got the King of Fire yet. Close to Emperor, whoever this person is, I feel like they're longing for it's kind of giving me Kingston Town, you know, when I am king, surely I will need a queen. Again, I want to take gender preferences and things like that, gender representation, gender preferences out of it. It's energy, it's a masculine energy. And I don't know the sex of the person that you're waiting for, but the masculine is waiting for the feminine. We all carry masculine and feminine energy within us. Go and look at your birth chart, every single sign, all 12 signs of the zodiac are 6 of them are feminine, 6 of them are masculine. Our birth chart is made up of multiple signs, multiple placements. Some of them are masculine, some of them are feminine. That's what I'm talking about here. I'm not talking about sex or gender identity or gender preference. That's a completely different ballpark, right? So just to clarify that, because I think sometimes the terms we use can be misconstrued. So anyway, the masculine energy that I'm reading for here is waiting for the feminine. I want to say he's longing for the feminine, right? And it's not the feminine that was attacking inside the cage. I don't know what that's about. This feels like the match, right? Because they're longing for it, and right underneath the longing card, and he's there with his bags packed, right? He's got all his treasures in a treasure box. He's waiting for the boat to come in and pick him up, I want to say. And who's arriving but the queen? It's kind of got this Cleopatra energy coming through now. You know, like if you've read that beautiful passage in Shakespeare's Cleopatra, is it Antony and Cleopatra? And I can't remember his name. I think Patrick Stewart played him as well. there's this brilliant passage, this soliloquy where it's like talking about this character seeing Cleopatra on her ship and how impressive she was, and he says, "What is she's a woman of many something, a woman of infinite variety." I don't know why it's making me think of that. But it's like he's waiting for the ship to come in, right? And who's on the ship? But this Queen of Earth, Cleopatra woman, who's a match, right? So it could be husband and wife, but the interesting thing is they're from different decks. If they're from the same deck, to me, that means that this is a pair, but it's not so much a pair as a match. Like the energies match, but they're not necessarily married to one another. It's perhaps King and Queen of Pentacles, they operate the same way. So it can even be like a business partner, like the perfect business partner coming in. There's something about these. Where did I see this? I've seen this somewhere before. Can you see the what they call dandelion clock? Like, I guess they're like daisies, but it always looks like dandelion clocks to me. You know, like when you blow a dandelion clock and it like the seeds get carried by the little fluffy things. But that's also, I want to say it's on one of these cards. It does represent wishes to me, and also Capricorn energy. It's like wishing what's best for somebody. Yeah, it's here as well on the Observer card. So I want to say the Queen of Earth is perhaps observing, right? Is one of the observers because of these. But then there's something about the dandelions which says that this is something that either someone has sent a blessing to this one, an energetic blessing to this one, something along the lines of spirit guides, whatever is in this person's best interest, please send it their way. They deserve a spiritual gift, you know, something like that. Or it can be, you know, somebody wished for this person, right? This is the person, the right person in the right place at the right time to fulfill a wish, because the Eight of Water talks about longing, feeling quite alone, feeling like there's something emotionally missing. And so it almost feels like maybe somebody wishing for a counterpart in some sort of way, wishing for the right person for the job to show up, and then the right person for the job shows up. The Queen of Water, sorry, the Queen of Water, why did I call her the Queen of Water? The Queen of Earth is also bringing the messenger of fire energy. So it could be that they are bringing a child with them, right? So it's like a match. You see how it's like a match? The King of Pentacles is here with a child, and then the Queen of Earth is here with a child, and the child is Sagittarius energy, messenger of fire, or Aries energy for me. So it's like if this person was missing the fire, right? If this person had the water, the pentacles, and the swords, when this energy comes in, she brings the fire. So it's like she's bringing the creative spark. She's bringing the confidence, the motivation, the passion to a situation that perhaps has become quite something about paint drying, right? Or like something, a situation that's become very stuck. It's like stuck by their own success. She's perhaps helping with the kind of creative solutions or the creative re-evaluation, creative reigniting of a situation. She's bringing it in. And then, like I say, if the masculine energy was missing the fire energy, it's like all he needed was the King of Fire, and then he'd be the Emperor. After the Queen of Earth comes in with the Messenger of Fire, then we get the Emperor, right? It's like that's what this person needed. That's what this person, this literally this, how, whether it's an aspect of that person or she's bringing this one in, it's like that is exactly what, and I was calling him the Emperor from the start. It's like this is exactly what the Emperor was missing, right? And it's a Leo Emperor as well. And then the Two of Water underneath that, and the Page of Earth. It's like if this person needed a business partner, an equal, somebody to, it's maybe like a job position, right? It could be a husband and wife situation, but it feels very career focused. It's like if this person was looking for the right person for the job, you know, somebody who could be a counterpart, somebody who could be an equal. Like they're coming in with the missing piece. And then also because one aspect of this emperor is that he starts the reading with the King of Water, right? So the idea of it has to feel right. It can't just look right on paper. It can't just be strategic. It also has to feel right. It also has to, you know, be a Two of Cups situation. You know, there has to be, it can't just be practical. It has to also emotionally resonate, right? It has to be a Two of Cups situation. And then what we have here underneath the Ace of Pentacles is the Queen of Cups, and the Ace of Pentacles feels like it could be a job offer going towards the Queen of Cups, right? It's like this person gets the job, this person gets the offer because they match. They're the Queen of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups. And where this person has the strategy, perhaps they have the fire, they have the passion. So there's a benefit to these two joining up. There's a benefit to these. It's like they complement each other. They finish. They complete each other's energy in some sort of way. Because I want to say this person is equally invested in this situation. Again, it being Eight of Pentacles, it's like this person is equally, their emotions run equally deep, right? They feel the same way. And so it's a very good match because, you know, they are both emotionally invested in a practical situation. What else do we have here? Action, magnetism. Maybe somebody's like, again, calling this person in. The serpent energy, which again is just talking about really with the ghost dance, is heavily feeling like, again, it could be somebody's prayed for somebody, right? I feel very stuck. Please send me somebody who's going to help me, you know, send me the right person at the right time. Send me the person who's going to, you know, solve these problems or help me to solve these problems. You know, change the situation for the highest good of all, because again, it has this real feeling of like, you know, what's best for everybody, you know? I'm in charge of the ship. I'm in charge of the ship. I am looking for a captain for my ship, right? Universe, send the person who is in everybody's best interest, and they send you the perfect captain for your ship. So yeah, but it feels like them, right? Or this one, this higher energy is observing the situation and coming in to help. So I want to, at the end of the reading, which is now, also as well, there's this elves and playfulness, which was talking to me about, because it's Christmas, right? And you think of Santa's workshop and his elves, you know, working very, very hard. But also because it's saying playfulness, it's like the work can be fun, right? It can feel collaborative. It can feel exciting. It can feel, you know, like people want to be there. Like people, because it's also got sanctuary underneath. So it's like workplace as a sanctuary, workplace being somewhere that people want to go to. It's like getting up and feeling excited because you get to go and work with your friends, you know, getting up and feeling excited because you're feeling really passionate about that project. You really, you know, you want to get started. So like, you know, when work doesn't feel like work because the vibe's really good. Sort of a bit like, I don't know why this is coming through as an example, but when I was working in a school, there was like, I think it's like one of the last days before Christmas, and the kids were at lunchtime, they were in this school disco. And so there was loads of kids in the hall and they were like dancing around to Christmas songs. And me and a teacher and the school receptionist were sort of looking through the doors and watching the kids, and like they were all having fun. And All I Want for Christmas came on. And without even kind of like looking at each other, it's like, you know, sometimes like the energy is just right and everybody picks up on the same energy at the right time. So it kind of like, the song hit a certain point in the song, and all three of us, like me, the teacher, and the school receptionist, we just started dancing like crazy, just out of the blue. And the kids went wild. Like, one of them turned and pointed at us and said, "The teachers are dancing!" And all the kids just went crazy. And it was just this really fun moment of, like, I don't know, just like feeling like, you know, like part of that place. And the vibe being really, really high. It was a really lovely moment. So yeah, you know, places can feel like that. And so let's have a look at this higher energy, because I associate this, you know, these guardian spirits, these celestial beings that protect us, our ancestors. I see them as dragon energy. It's symbolically for me, it's protective guardian spirits, and they can feel a bit shadowy, but shadowy in a way where, you know, I was talking about this card, right? Shadowy in a way where they're not innocent, right? They're not gullible angels. If you think about Good Omens, the TV show Good Omens, right? You have, is he called Aziraphale, who's kind of like the good angel, and he's kind of a little bit gullible. But then you have the kind of David Tennant character who, you know, he's shown to be a devil, but he's kind of like a good devil, right? He's kind of on the good side, but he's very, very familiar with how the darker side works, right? He's able to even protect Aziraphale because he sees how the darkness operates, right? So it's like somebody who is, they know the darkness, they can walk in the darkness, but they're not of the darkness. Do you see what I mean? It's kind of like somebody who knows that there's bad in the world, so therefore they're able to protect themselves from it. You know, and you know, they're not going to accidentally engage with it because they're gullible and susceptible. It's like they see it coming. So just to explain to you why I'm seeing an energy that's darker as something that's protective and not something that's is not a corrupting energy. I sometimes worry about being misunderstood when I talk about that. So this guardian spirit, this ancestor, oh, there we go, freedom. I love it because we were trapped, right? We started the reading with feeling trapped, and now we have freedom and Gaia. Like, that's like an earth energy. Very cool. Okay, I need to find the book because I don't know what I've done with it. Is this it? Yay. Okay. It's very dark in this room now. Okay. I think there's something as well about, because I'm kind of hearing don't be afraid of the dark. Oh, I forgot to mention Japan as well. In meditation, I heard look at Japan. And then I looked at Japan, and there was news. It was like 2 hours ago, news about Japan. Japan has lifted their restrictions on selling weapons, and now they're selling missiles to America. And I was like, I wish I didn't know about that. I wish I'd not been told to look at Japan. But fair enough. I don't know if that's why I was being told look at Japan. Again, if this is something about a business, there could be something about you know, expanding a business, and you know, if someone's looking for perhaps wanting to set up an office in this, you know, in Asia, maybe Japan's a good place to do it. I don't know, but yeah, it's just, I was kind of like, why am I being told to look at Japan? I heard look at Japan, and I saw kind of like a map view of Japan. So that's a message for whoever needs it. Maybe that's the solution, right? Somebody's been asking for a solution. Maybe Japan's the answer. I have no idea. I kind of saw the news and was like, I'm just going to kind of duck my head back down. I'm going to dig it into the sand here because I don't want to know. Okay, freedom. Freedom frequently appears when we have been kidding ourselves about a particular situation or scenario we find ourselves in. You may be feeling overwhelmed with responsibility or trapped by circumstance. I love it. Guys, you saw that card come out, right? And it's exactly what I was saying. It's exactly what I was picking up on. I don't make things up, guys. The messages literally are the messages. Maybe you feel, and that's what I said, right? Overwhelmed with responsibility or trapped by circumstance. I said it's like you've built these walls up around you and now you feel trapped by them. Or maybe it's simply a feeling of disquiet and anxiety. She says, open your heart and you'll see the inner truth of any situation. Don't be afraid of the truth, for it can be as liberating as it is healing. Change is the single constant in your world, and you have learnt to fear that change. Let it go, for it is your gilded cage. I am not even joking, guys. Guys, I am not even joking here. Do you see it? God, the lighting's so bad. I can't. Give me a sec, guys. Gilded cage, you see? Give yourself wings. There's this thing about, I was picking up before, and I have so many thoughts that I don't remember to say everything that I get when I'm channeling. There was this thing about, you know, Icarus flying too close to the sun, right? As I'm saying sun, I'm looking at the star. Icarus flying too close to the sun, but it's almost like, but now you've got the sun's attention, and that's a good thing. So it has that feeling of maybe even, I got so successful that I attracted the attention of something, and maybe having some fear of that, because maybe, you know, it's a big powerful energy, right? This is a big energy. It's coming through this dragon energy, you know, this, you know, accidentally attracting the attention of something powerful, and it feeling like an Icarus moment. It feels a bit like, well, now my wings are burning, right? Now I wish I'd never climbed the ladder so high. And yet I want to say this is a good thing, especially if you share the same values, because, like I said, there's something about this Virgo in Mars placement where it's almost like two people in a workplace who it's something like the dragon seeing in the Emperor the same values. So it's almost coming through like this, right? It's almost coming through like a, you know, like, yes, you're being assessed, yes, you're being watched, but the people who are doing the watching and the assessing, they like what they see about you, because the values you're demonstrating match the like the mission that they're doing is the way it's coming through. Let it go, for it is your gilded cage. Give yourself wings and come fly with me. Come fly with me. Let's fly out to, was it LA? Does he say LA? You can use some exotic blues. There's a bar in far Flambe. Like, why is that coming through? It's perfect for a flying honeymoon, they say. I don't know, maybe King and Queen of Pentacles are getting married. Come fly with me, let's fly away. You can only be truly free once you release your strong need for control. She continues, be brave, follow your inner guidance. Only you can set yourself free. Let go and trust the process of life and the universe. Take time out, free some time for you to dance, play music, get back to that yoga practice. I need to do yoga more. Listen to water, catch the wind in your hair. Seek out a place of quiet solitude in nature. Sit quietly and simply be, right? It's like, if you're in something about Virgo energy and Aquarius energy, I'm noticing it about this King of Air, is that it can be very, very analytical, and sometimes it's especially Gemini as well, like Mercury placements, it can be very, it can turn into analysis paralysis, right? I'm so busy checking all these keys, I don't realize that the door's already open. You know, have you ever had that, like, searching for your keys and it's like the keys are just in the door and the door's open and you're like, oh, okay, I wish I'd realized that half an hour ago, you know, that sort of thing. So it's kind of like, sit in stillness and let the answers come to you. I do this sometimes as well, like, my most recent example of this is, I've had this kind of like really tight jaw and kind of like tight under my tongue. It's like, it's strange. I've even been to the doctor about it, and the doctor was like, you're fine, I don't know what you're on about. And sometimes I do get kind of like psychic things where I'm feeling something psychically. But I went into meditation and I asked my guides, I was like, what do I do about this? What's causing this? What's going on? And I heard a word, and the word actually, like, I googled it and it turned out to be my face cream, my moisturizer. which I've only been using for maybe a few months, and it's been really good actually. But it's a night cream, and I've been using it in the day as well. So I wonder if I've been overusing it. And so I stopped using it and kind of went back to my normal moisturizer, and I stopped having that side effect. So I feel like it's some kind of side effect of the moisturizer I was using, which is so curious to me. And it's just an over-the-counter moisturizer, right? It's not like something you buy on prescription or something where it comes with medical advice and the side effects. And yet I had this strange side effect, and I would have never thought, I would have never known that was the answer, right? It didn't even cross my mind that that could have been causing that. And yet when I meditated, they literally gave me the answer. They gave me the word. And I was like, oh, it's my moisturizer. So, and it's funny as well, like I've had things where I've had an acne breakout, and I've been like, what's causing my acne breakout? And they will show me mushrooms, or like, what do I do? Is there something missing? I think I said, what is there something missing from my diet? Like what's going on with my skin? And they showed me mushrooms, and I heard the word selenium. And so then I Googled, and yeah, mushrooms are a really good source of selenium. And I hadn't ate mushrooms for a while. I started eating mushrooms and my skin cleared up. So even if it's coming from my subconscious, my conscious waking mind doesn't realize these things, but my subconscious knows the answers. Like sit still, sit in quiet, meditate, put on some whale sounds or something. I don't know. Last night I had on, so I listened to TM Soft, which is on Spotify, TM Soft, and it's like different meditation sounds. And then last night I had on, it was like driving in the snow. It's one of the most recent uploads, and that was a really lovely one. I slept so well. Okay, I just strongly encourage you to do that meditation, especially if you normally meditate and you've got so stressed out with your responsibilities, especially at this time of year. Like how I've not been doing yoga. You let these things slip and you're like, what's the problem? Why am I so stressed out? And it's like, oh yeah, I've not done yoga for a week. Okay. Sorry, I talked too much, guys. I'm so sorry. I've not seen you for a while. I've not done a reading for a while, so I'm chatty. Let's have a look what else we have. Okay, Gaia. The dragon Gaia it's interesting. They're both feminine because I was reading it as a masculine energy. It's curious. The dragon Gaia is the earth keeper and carries Gaia's ancient wisdom. The dragon Gaia is the earth keeper. Oh my god, wait, you have earth keeper. Ah, guys. Oh, and she's winged. It's her. Okay. She's the Earth Keeper, and she carries Gaia's ancient knowledge deep within her. She's one of the oldest dragons yet to come to Earth. I am the etheric body of your planet, and I urge you to protect her and all who dwell upon her. I will guide you into restoring balance. So I was seeing it as kind of somebody who's protecting a workplace, but maybe this is somebody who's, worried about the health and safety of the whole planet, perhaps. I mean, I am when I find out that big powerful countries are selling living missiles to each other. Like that does make me worry a little bit, because I don't think that's good for anyone. What is done cannot be undone, and alas, some things are gone forever. Have courage to stand up for what you believe in, and your heart to be true, and I will stand with you. You can be that change. Call upon her support when you are working on a new project and need to anchor its energy fully. You can invoke her wisdom when any form of group work is taking place to anchor the collective vibration to the planet. Make use of her grounding energy. She's also here now to help ground the frequencies of the fifth dimensions and above, which are coming into our consciousness. She will guide us when we are ready to reignite. I was saying about reigniting, right, with that messenger of fire. Reignite the light of the Earth's grids. The deep healing this invokes will help Gaia and us as humans to build peace on Earth and a future that is sustainable. Love it. Okay. I don't know. There's something about spending 50-something billion pounds on weapons where you think, wouldn't it be nice if they, put that into infrastructure or, food, or housing, or things that are constructive and not destructive. Just my own personal feelings on that, guys. Okay, there's something coming through as well about again, it's looking going back to Shakespeare. Like, there's this really old concept of the idea of kings, right? The idea of kings being God appointed representatives on earth. And you know, this is an outdated idea, but it's coming through, so I'm going to mention it. I want to say there's something about the universe assisting people to be in the right places at the right time, right? Getting the right people into positions of the power, into positions of power or influence, because they're doing things for the right reasons, whether they are religious or not, right? Like they have perhaps a strong spirituality or a strong instinct to look after everybody, you know, to look after the people who got them there. And so I think sometimes things do come easy to certain people because it's of a greater benefit to society. Right? It's because spirit's protecting them. And so it could be that somebody feels quite trapped in a certain position at this time, but it's almost like I'm a Libra, and for a long time, Libra's readings had this feeling of not being able to move, right? Of almost being in permanent waiting energy, because it's like they were already in position. They got into position early, and the universe was kind of like still setting up. It was coming through like a kitten surrounded by dominoes. So it's like the universe was still setting up, you know, all the dominoes around them. And so it's like, Libra, sit still, do not move, because, you know, maybe it's like the idea of like, you know, sometimes people do the work, you know, people do the shadow work, people, you know, listen to spirit and listen to the guidance, and they do the right things, but not everybody's quite as fast. So sometimes it takes people a little bit longer to catch up. So you have to kind of be, the universe kind of like squares you in to stop you kind of like, you know, setting off the dominoes too fast. I don't know why this is looking like dominoes to me now. Maybe somebody's getting one of those games for Christmas where it's like, you know, sometimes you can get dominoes, they're all attached to a track and you can just flip them up, and you can get like interesting kind of like structures. Maybe somebody's getting something like that for Christmas. Okay, the two songs that came through for you already were Ivy by Taylor Swift, and there's actually, oh sorry, there's three songs. Ivy by Taylor Swift. Should we have a chat? Yeah, I don't know. Arcade by Picani. Arcade by Picani came through when I asked about the woman in my dream who was in who was susceptible to programming, right? It's like they weren't thinking for themselves. They were just angry and attacking because it's like something had been triggered within them, and they weren't really, it was entirely a projection of something that they weren't willing to look at in themselves, right? It was like there was a message coming through about it came through, I was shown a situation between two YouTubers, two women on YouTube, and I won't say the names, but some people may know off the top of their head. Like very, one of them in particular is a very, very well-known famous YouTuber. And the situation as I was showing it, and again, I don't want to be like defaming anyone. I'm not trying to, I don't know these two people personally. They're not people I watch. I'm not familiar with the situation, but as it was presented to me, you know, what I understood, you know, from what I saw, which obviously came through a filter of somebody who was a bit more close to the situation. It was these two women, and they were, the more famous one was accusing another one of copying her. However, when you look at the information and you look at the details, it did actually appear that the more famous one was copying the less famous one and then accusing her of copying, which was strange because the less famous girl just seemed to be doing her own thing. And so it was strange that somebody who was more successful was, and it seemed like this was a pattern for this person where it's like the way, and again, this is the way it was presented to me. I don't know the person particularly myself. There's a lot of controversy around them, which I'd kind of seen. But again, I don't watch the channel. I don't know them. yeah, basically, it seemed like there was a pattern of this woman where if there were any female competitors who were doing something similar to her, she was very, very quick to attack them. And so, where YouTube really encourages collaboration, people are more successful when they collaborate with others. She was very unwilling to do that, and she was very much seeing other women as a competitor and very quick to attack them. But it seemed like every time she attacked them, it was something that she was an insecurity that she was projecting from herself, because she wanted all the attention and she couldn't bear to have other people, especially in terms of her looks. She was very quick to say, she's not as pretty as me, I don't use filters, she's clearly used a filter, things like that. And it was very very kind of pick me, like, I know that's a bit of a toxic term, but it was very much like, I want all the attention for myself, and I don't want to support other people who are up and coming. So yeah, not very good karma, I want to say. And I just saw her as being a very young soul, a lot of very immature and a lot of learning to do. But I don't know her, so I can't make those judgments myself. Maybe I'm projecting something of myself onto her. I don't know, right? But then I saw this other, the less successful, and it's still very successful, much more successful than me, right? But like, of the two women, like the less successful one was so gracious and so she didn't engage in the drama. She kind of, like, a bit like water off a duck's back, she just kind of let it go. She understood that it wasn't a problem with her. She didn't have to defend herself. It was a projection of this other woman. And she just has such a lovely, mature approach. And everything she said came from a place of compassion and love. And every time there was a negative, she was turning it into a positive, and she was just so graceful and mature in that. And I thought, just by looking at the way that these two women conduct themselves, I think that tells a lot about, one of these women coming from a place of positivity and love, like that's their, that's their natural instinct. And this other one coming from a place of attack and hate and stuff. And I think a lot of the time those people are perhaps repeating a cycle of something that they've been shown. If somebody feels like they have to defend themselves all the time, it's probably because they've been criticized heavily perhaps in their life and not shown enough love. Where somebody who's shown enough love normally doesn't have to attention seek or invalidate other people in order to feel confident. So I think something about that. There could be something about confidence as well. Stomach, the stomach stuff that was coming through earlier, especially if there's something attacking the stomach, that can be something attacking somebody's confidence. So yeah, that's that. Let me just, the other song that came through, it was a song my eldest was playing in the background. It was Fairy Tales by Gabby Sophia. And the line that jumped out to me was, what if he's not the bad guy? So it's almost like accusing someone of being a bad guy because somebody's misunderstood the situation. So I want to say again, it kind of feels a little bit like this one's being accused of, again, especially think about jail, like threatened with jail or something, but they're not actually the bad guy. And then the other song, so Taylor Swift's Ivy. Arcade was coming through with the kind of toxic person. Okay, let's change the lights a second. What have I just pressed on? Sorry guys, I'm faffing around on my phone. Okay, let's just have a nice kind of pink light for the rest of the reading. Okay, and so I want to get a song for, sorry, thank you for sticking around while I faff around. Can we give a really clear message to the emperor, this emperor in the making, this almost emperor, this one that feels trapped by their own success and responsibilities? What is the best song that you have to give to them right now? Battle Cry by Imagine Dragons. Just Imagine Dragons, right? Just one more time before I go, I'll let you know that all this time I've been afraid, wouldn't let it show. Nobody can save me now. Stars are only visible in darkness. Fear is ever changing and evolving. And I've been poisoned inside, but I feel so alive. Nobody can save me now. King is crowned. It's do or die. The only sound is the battle cry. Do or die. It's interesting. I had this thing coming through the other day about, you know, old kings, the kings of yore, right? Who I think a lot of people in power now, they send the armies in and then sit comfortably on the throne while all the little pawns die on the battlefield, right? But they're not really sacrificing anything themselves. Where in the olden days, you know, the king would be at the front of the battlefield. They would be on, you know, on the horse on the battlefield, you know, risking their neck too. And so I think there's this idea of kind of like people who perhaps are warmongers, but they profit from it and they don't really risk very much, especially people. And there are people, you know, there are companies and people who invest in both sides of a conflict. You know, whoever wins, they benefit. So, you know, that's really not got good karma. I don't think they're going to do very well in the next life. So Battle Cry by Imagine Dragons. And then what else do I want to ask? The higher energy, the observer energy, this upper, the dragon, the winged energy. Tell me about the winged energy. Ghost. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the dragon ghost. This is by Halsey. The lyrics haven't loaded. I'm searching for something that I can't reach. I don't like them innocent. I don't want no fresh face. I want them wearing leather, begging, let me be your taste test. I like the sad eyes, bad guys, mouthful of white lies, kiss me in the corridor, but quick to tell me goodbye. You say that you're no good for me because I'm always tugging at your sleeve. It's like the child, right? And I swear I hate you when you leave, but I like it anyway. My ghost, where did you go? I can't find you in the body sleeping next to me. My ghost, where did you go? What happened to the soul that you used to be? You're a rolling stone boy, never sleep alone boy, got a million numbers and they're filling up your phone boy. I'm off the deep end, sleeping all night through the weekend, saying that I love him, but I know I'm going to leave him. And then it repeats. Interesting. And then tell me about the child, please. I'm just pulling up the lyrics. Tell me about the child. Tell me about this one that's being protected. The youngest energy. Planet Hunter by Wolf Alice. A moment's happiness under the influence. I tried all night to recreate, and it was never ever gonna last long, and it was only ever gonna go wrong. And in the morning, I only have myself to blame. Am I a planet hunter or a brave deviator? I left my mind behind in 2015. A moment's madness complements your innocence. I tried all night to initiate, and I only ever try to have fun. I'm only old when I don't feel young. And if you're with me, yeah, you can come along. A moment's happiness. Planet Hunter. I don't know, curious. It feels really deep. And underneath that, curiouser and curiouser. And I didn't bring this up before because it's a card that I have a bit of trouble with. So we had the serpent and the underlying. Underneath that was the ghost dance. I asked about the serpent, right? The dragon energy, and I got the ghost dance. Underneath that is the hunter. And the Dragua as well. I told you about that kind of like panther protective energy. It's like I know the darkness, so I know how to protect myself from it, right? I can see it coming. It's like somebody who can see the red flags because they've had so much experience with that energy. It's like they just, you know, they can see it coming a mile away. They know how to protect themselves. So yeah, make of that what you will, guys. I hope that reading was helpful to you. I hope you will have a lovely Christmas. And yeah, stay merry, but not so merry that you don't remember it. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful time, and may your shadows protect you. Do take care of yourselves. And I will put up that reading as well, the one that I didn't put up originally, because it just felt a little funny because the stars there, right? It just felt a little bit too on the nose and inappropriate in terms of like what was going on in global affairs. And you know, I think I've made it very clear that I'm a peacekeeper energy, and I don't pick sides. I see the grey areas and I see the complications and the intrinsic I don't like it when things get simplified into the good guy and the bad guy. you know, because like the song says, you know, maybe they're not the bad guy, you know. It's like, and I'm not talking about any one specific thing. I think to take sides and see something as good versus something bad is a very immature, childish way of understanding a situation. For example, if you're watching a movie and it's a kids' movie, they make it really obvious who's the bad guy, and they make it really obvious who's the good guy, right? The hero and the bad guy. As you get older and as you get more mature and as you learn more about the world, you understand how complex situations can be, and we all hold good and bad energy within every single cell of our being. And situations are very complex. And, you know, sometimes people who are, I don't know, I think that it can be difficult to hold those complexities in our mind and not pick a side when, you know, when people are becoming divisive and people are aligning themselves with a certain opinion or a certain side of social media, that you can feel very ostracized when you refuse to take sides in a situation, when you're the sort of person who says, hey, maybe both sides are wrong, or hey, you know, maybe this situation is more complicated than just being like, you know, it's not, you know, it's not a Disney movie, you know. And then I think, you know, the more mature you get, the more interested you get in movies where, you know, it's more complex. Like a film that I really, really want to rewatch, and it's not one of the greatest stories ever told, but there's a film with Sylvester Stallone called The Samaritan, and you know, that does play with the concept of who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. He has this brilliant line where he goes, "I'm the bad guy," but in a moment where he's protecting a child. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe go and watch that movie as an example of, I think sometimes, you know, we can do bad things for good reasons and good things for bad reasons. And maybe not, maybe canceling cancel culture and seeing ourselves as human beings who are having a human experience on earth. And, you know, sometimes we make mistakes and sometimes we do bad things thinking we're doing the right thing. And having compassion and having a willingness to be open-hearted and embrace the more difficult energies in order to help them learn lessons that help them to mature and become more compassionate themselves, right? I think, you know, hate breeds hate and compassion breeds compassion. And just because maybe your compassion is taken advantage of once doesn't mean that it was the wrong choice for us to make. I don't know. Deep thoughts this Christmas Eve. I'm gonna go. I hope this reading is helpful. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Remember, we're only trapped when we believe we're trapped, and we are creative individuals like this elephant, and we can keep trying and testing until we find a solution to whatever problem we're facing right now. Okay, I hope that was helpful. I hope that was hopeful. Take care of yourselves, believe in the star energy, and I will see you again soon. Bye, friends.